the value of this 7 versus this 7. What I started to do is I wrote the place value so I know how to read it. And this is 7,777,777. So the value of this 7, what I need to do is I pop the same digit down, and I'm going to fill in all the extra spots with zeros. So the value of this 7 is 700,000. The value of this 7 is 700. So I need to find the difference in the values. And what I taught you was if there's a similar digit in the numerator and denominator, you cross it out. So there's a 0 in the numerator and a 0 in the denominator. A 0 and a 0. Now don't forget, I taught you that when it's the same digit in both the numerator and the denominator, it's the equivalent of 1. So this 7 and this 7, I cross it out, and it becomes a 1. And I am left with the digit of 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 zeros. So the difference between 700,000 and 700 is 1,000. Well, how do I check it? I take my 1,000, which I just got my answer, and I'm going to multiply it by 700. Whenever you're multiplying anything that ends in a 0, you just count the zeros. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 7 times 1 is 7. It should put me always back to that. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to make it a little bit simpler. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to use the number 6. So the value of the first 6, I pop it down into the spot. And that becomes a 0, that becomes a 0, and that. So the value of this digit is 6,000. The value of this 6 is 60. I put my dividing bar up. Again, there's a 0 in the numerator and a 0 in the denominator. 6 over 6, same digits, right? That crosses out. We make this a 1. So I am now left with a 1, a 0, 0. I am left with 100. So what's the difference between the 6 in the 6,000 spot and the 6 in the 10 spot, in the 60 spot? 100. Because 100, now I take my 60, multiply it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 6 times 1 is 6. It should always put me back there. So I'm going to do one now, and I'm going to let you try and solve it. And feel free to bring this into class. Okay? 555. And I would like to know the difference from this 5 to that 5. So the first thing you need to do, I'm going to put my 3 digits. Okay? Pop this one into the bank. And this becomes a 5. And the rest of the spots are filled with a 0. This is just 5. Correct? Just pop it down. Next, I need to put my division bar, okay? And I'm going to write it so it's a little clearer. Okay, let's just make it a little clearer. 500 over 5. Okay? There's no zeros to cross out. There's a 0 in the numerator, but there's not one in the denominator. But there's a 5 in both the numerator and denominator. And again, any number over each other equals 1. So the 5 crosses out, and we put a 1 here. Now, it's really 1 over 1, but we never say 1 over 1. It's just 1. For example, if you're having a friend over, you were inviting one friend, you wouldn't be like, Mom, 1 out of 1 friends are coming. You would just be like, my 1 friend's coming over. So again, 5 over 5, you just keep the 1 up top, and there's 1 and 2 little zeros. So we have 100. The difference between this value, this 5, is 100. How do I check it? Well, 100 times 5, put my 2 zeros down, and 5 times 1 is 500. Now, I know I said I was going to let you do that on your own, but I'll give you a harder one. You could do this one. Okay? I want you to find the difference between these two 2's. I'm going to kind of give you a minute, and then I'm going to put the answer. And it should give me right back here. So the difference between these two 2's is 100. And how I checked it was 100 times 200 puts me right back at 20,000. So there is the difference between finding the place value of similar digits.